Welcome back to Kentucky Sports Television. We are now happy to be joined on the phone by former Cat Derek Anderson. Derek, thank you for joining us.
No problem, buddy. Good to be here.
Before we get to all the basketball stuff, I want to ask you, this is the time of year when a lot of people get involved with charity stuff. We saw the UK basketball team collecting coats, washing people's feet. I know you're a guy who has given back to the community here in Louisville. You ask people around town, a lot of times they talk about your charity work and how you've been involved in the community before they even talk basketball. Can you talk to us just why that's been important to you and it's been such a big part of your life?
Well, actually, I lived in a shelter home when I was young. You know, I didn't have neither one of my parents around, so I basically had to grow up by other people trying to help me, whether it be school teachers, basketball coaches, kind of a neighborhood thing. And I realized their service to me actually made me so much better as a person and been able to be blessed to play in the NBA and college. So I realized those people really mean a lot to me. So my service is to help other people in society and to help someone else become the next Derek Anderson or even better. So it's really somewhat placed in my heart for that more than just anything.
And now you've gone on, you're working in TV and doing some film stuff. And coming up in February, you have a book called Stamina that's coming out, as well as a movie to follow. Can you tell people what to expect from that, what it's about, and where they can pick this stuff up?
Well, basically, the book, The Stamina, is part of my life story and also about life in general, about the things that you deal with in life. So it's basically just to making sure people don't give up before they win. So many people be ready to win, and then they just run out of steam and give up. They give up on hope or their family. And I did that book basically just to motivate people, not just kids, but just people in general. Because we all just be reminded if we keep going, we're going to make it. So, and then the movie is about the same. My book, my life story, we're going to have some big celebrities in it. We're going to film some of it in Louisville. And just, again, I wanted to give back to the city. You know, I think they've gone through enough, and every city goes through things. But we as a community need to find something positive to stick together and stand for. So it'll be out, and you can go to my site, Derek Anderson Works, and you'll see all the movies that I'm about to shoot and the books that I'm doing. So going to be a pretty busy year for me.
Very cool. Looking forward to it. As far as the basketball, the UK basketball team on the court, they've won 3 straight games. They lost 2, of course, to Baylor and Notre Dame in a row. Got knocked out of the top 25. They won 3 in a row. Even though they're blowouts, there's kind of a feeling that the team is still not quite where they need to be and maybe not as good as they've looked in those wins. What's your take on this group? How good of a team do you think it is, or maybe how good can it be down the line?
I think it could be great down the line, but you have to realize it's all freshmen and new guys playing together. I mean, this is very difficult to do. Even the year after John Walden left, the team has kind of lost a lot of games then compared to what we're used to. So I think it's a growing process. I think we're so used to just winning when we first get there. We have to realize those guys have to mature a bit. And if they stay 2, even 3 years, people will never remember this season. They'll remember us beating everybody and being compared to one of the great UK teams if they stay together.
One of the guys who's critical to that who came in is Ryan Harrow. He was out with his illness. He's back. But he transferred from a big school, NC State. When you played, you transferred from Ohio State to Kentucky. What is that transition like, coming from very good programs in Ohio State and NC State, but to Kentucky, where it is all basketball, you're under the microscope? What's that adjustment like for a player to transition not only to a new school, but a new environment like that?
Well, I think where he came from is different where I came from. I had a little different structure. You know, I was under Randy Ayers, and very disciplinary guy. He made sure guys played and did the things fundamentally sound. So I'm not sure what his structure was, so I really couldn't speak. But for me, coming to Kentucky was just an open mind for me. I thought that's all I've ever wanted to do was win. So it fit me more perfect because I worked hard to win, just like normal people do in Kentucky. Everything that they do is hard-nosed, and that's what we dedicate on winning. So it was a perfect fit for me. But I think Ryan has to develop that mentality that when you play for Kentucky, it's not about your last name, it's about the first name of the university. So we stick together as a family, and that's how we win. So he'll figure it out.
One of the things Coach Cal's doing right now is he's been frustrated with the team. They haven't been communicating, they haven't had that bond, and they haven't really been as aggressive to start the game, so they have the Camp Cal going. Now, I know you played on some very good teams, and you played for a coach that was very demanding. What can that you know, I guess the conditioning, the extra work over the holidays, what can that do to really bring a group together and maybe help push them towards being more aggressive, I guess is the word?
They have to do that. That's extra. I mean, that's something that you can't force someone to be great. I think they have to want to do it themselves. He could practice them all day, but if these guys don't want to be great, they won't do that. So I think it's great that they have to. They want to stay after and get better. But you have to do that. These guys have to learn how to play basketball, fundamentally sound, stick together, trust each other, and have each other's back. They really have to do that. And absolutely, they have to study more because the game of basketball is 90% mental.
When you were in UK, was that a thing that came from the coaches really pushing that on you? Or it seems like you had a collective group of guys who were invested in each other, a close group, but also focused on where you wanted to be as a team and as individuals getting there together, much like last year's group. Can that come from the coaches? Because it seems like Calipari's the one really pushing right now and not really coming from the guys on the team.
It didn't come from our coaches. Coach Pitino didn't tell us to hang together, didn't tell us to go places together, didn't tell us to work out together. He made sure we prepared ourselves, but we did that on our own. We as players said we wanted to get better, and we all wanted to go to the NBA. We all wanted to win championships. That type of dedication came from all of us. I mean, granted, we had 3 seniors with Mark Polk, Tony Delk, and Walter McCarty, who exemplified teamwork. So it was basically we had leaders to follow. And, Antoine and Ron being young, but they followed along. So I think what's missing now is the leadership that someone steps up and does that. If one of those guys on the team said, hey, let's do this, I think those guys would be apt to join them. But someone has to step up and take charge, and it's the players' duty to do that, not the coaches.
Well, the Cats have Marshall on Saturday. Next week, though, is the game with Louisville. It's kind of what it builds up to every year. It looks like for the first time, at least in the last couple since John Calipari's been here, Rick Pitino has a group that is more, maybe a little more talented at the moment, playing better basketball and more physically imposing. When you look at this game, how much of a favorite, Louisville will probably be a good, I would think, 5-6 point favorite. How much of a favorite do you think Louisville is coming into this game? And what does Kentucky need to do to overcome that defensive pressure and the physicality of Louisville? This
is UK U of L game. There is no pressure there. I mean, there is no margin of victory. We should play them like it's our first and last game we'll ever play. If they know what this meaning of this rivalry means, they'll know to go out and play as hard as they possibly can. And that's what I'm hoping they understand, the mentality of this game. So I think Louisville's got a great team, but I still think just because of the rivalry, if these young guys understand it, they'll come out and put a better performance on than we could ever imagine. But if they don't understand the implications of how serious this game is, Louisville's team with the senior guys and the veteran guys who've been there a while, they could have their way if they play well.
Now, before we let you go, UK, of course, hired a football coach, Mark Stoops. Everybody's excited. Do you get into UK football? I know you're a basketball guy, but do you follow the football team at all?
Yeah, well, I grew up, my uncle lived in Alabama since 1990, and he actually made me like Alabama football, unimaginably. But yeah, I've always supported Kentucky football, all the sports. So I'm excited for him. I just hope that they all have the same mentality as he does, playing defense and getting stops. That used to frustrate me so bad. We couldn't stop anybody at the worst time. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'll be at most of the games again this year, so when I'm on my book tour.
Mark Stoops got his first commitment as Stephen Borden, son of the former WCW wrestler Sting. So we've all been sharing wrestling stories. Did you ever get into professional wrestling when you were younger, or even back? Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry Lawler used to be the man. I used to love the King. He used to come to Louisville Gardens on Tuesday night. We used to love watching.
It's crazy how wrestling, that's one of those things that I don't know if anybody talks about it much as like an adult. Like, I'll still watch it occasionally with my kids, but that's one of those things when it's brought up, you always remember when you were a kid. Lots of fun stuff. Derek, thank you. We really appreciate it, man. It's always good talking to you.
Likewise, CJ. Have a good one. Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too. Now, don't go anywhere because we got more KSTV coming up right after this check of the forecast on CN2.